Hey guys, it's Jason Creel and you're watching The Lawn Care Life. Today I want to give you a lot of summer tips for your Bermuda grass lawn. We're going to get started with that now. The weather's getting hot and I want to talk to you about mowing. I want to talk to you about fertilizing and help you understand how to have a great looking Bermuda lawn this summer. Let's get started right now. Now my yard is primarily Bermuda grass, but I've still been learning a lot about Bermuda grass and how to make my yard look as good as possible. So I'm going to show you parts of my yard, talk to you about what's going on, and give you some tips now that the weather's getting hot and show you what I'm doing to make my yard look great this summer. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. So let's take a look and let me talk to you and give you some tips. Here's what my Bermuda grass is looking like right now. This is late May at the time of this recording, and what I didn't understand until the other day, somebody explained to me, my grass, I mean, I've been mowing it more than once a week, at least lately. I mowed it, let me think, today I'm filming this on a Tuesday. I think I mowed it on Friday, so you know, 3 or 4 days later, and look at the seed heads that are already coming up. And that kind of is annoying to me, just to be honest with you. And somebody told me the other day that the reason that you get the seed heads is because of when the grass is a little bit drought stressed, which makes sense. We've just now been getting up in the 90s with very little rain, and also a lack of nitrogen. So what I think I need to do is, well, one, hopefully we'll get some rain. You've got irrigation, that's also a big help, but I can put the fertilizer to it, and it's a great time for that because the weather is getting hot. And you'll look in some other parts of my yard, we've been renovating the house here. They put a new septic system in here, so there's some big bare spots where this is where all the field lines are going in the yard, so I got to get all this to fill in. So the great thing about Bermuda grass, it'll fill in extremely fast, but I need to put some fertilizer on this to help speed up the process, and I think this will be filled in, you know, I'm gonna say probably in 6 weeks it'll be about completely filled in, but I think it's gonna start making progress really fast, especially if I water it. So just a few things about how I take care of Bermuda lawns and give you some things that I do. I'm gonna talk to you about the fertilizer, I'm gonna talk to you about mowing, talk to you about my secret weapon I use that some people also they use on golf courses and things like that. So when it comes to mowing, you know, mowing more frequent is better, okay? Because the rule of thumb is you don't take off more than a third of the blade of grass at one time. So you think if you're gonna fertilize it, you want it dark green, but you're not willing to mow very often, that's gonna be a problem, because you're gonna end up, it's gonna end up growing fast, and then if you end up wanting to keep it low, you're gonna have to cut it, you know, you're going to take a lot of the color out of it. So if you're not going to mow it very often, you're going to have to gradually raise your blade over the course of summer. If you want to keep it low, you got a couple options. One, you can just mow it very frequently, so I'm thinking like every 4 to 5 days. I'm mowing mine 1.5 inches, and I'm mowing it, you know, through the spring, like every 2 weeks, it's fine. But now that the weather's getting hot and you fertilize, if it rains, it's gonna blow up. I mean, it's gonna start growing like crazy. So I'm gonna have to mow it a lot more than every 2 weeks, that's for sure. Probably every 4 to 5 days. Now, what you can do, and this is something I've got videos out there about this, and this is what they do on golf courses, you can use a growth regulator. You say, well, what's a growth regulator? I'm not familiar with that. What it basically does is it takes the energy the plant uses to grow the leaves vertically, and it supposedly makes it where it'll make it grow more horizontally and also deeper roots. So I use a product called Podium. That's the one that I'm using on my lawn, and it works great. It basically, you put it out about once a month during the actively growing time. So like I don't use it in April when I'm mowing every 2 weeks, but in June, July, August, September, you know, once a month during these active growing times, it will help suppress those seed heads. It'll keep you from having to mow it as often, and it will allow you to keep it lower and tighter without having to mow, you know, every 3 or 4 days or whatever. So it works great. There's you can check the label, see if it works on your grass type, and you know, anyway, that's what I do. Like I said, once a month during the really actively growing seasons. When it comes to watering, I'm always talking about, you see my footprints here because there's dew on the grass this morning, but comes to water, and I got talking to my customers a lot. I run a weed control and fertilization business about watering their Bermuda lawns. And what we tell them is water once a week. Now you may need to adjust this in your system, you know, where depending on where you live and depending on your landscaping in your yard. But here in Alabama, with our climate, we say water once a week, and I tell them like 30 minutes per zone. Now, if they want to water more than that or less than that, whatever. But the idea is you get a good soaking once a week, because what's the problem with watering more often? Like a lot of people say, I water 3 times a week for 15 minutes or, you know, something like that. And I was like, well, if you just do once a week and soak it really good, and you think about it just naturally, when we get a real heavy rain, it keeps the grass green for a while, where a little shower, you know, doesn't do as much for a lawn. Plus, you get situations where you got, let me see if I can find an example here. You see, like, that's nut sedge in the lawn, and most every yard around here has nut sedge. And if you water it often, you're more likely to give it a favorable environment to grow nut sedge. So I say, you know, water less often but longer. And then the idea is you're getting the water down to the roots. It's going to really benefit the grass. You want to run your irrigation early in the morning. If you do it in the evening time, the water can sit on the leaf all over throughout the night, and that's a perfect scenario for oftentimes getting a fungus. Sometimes you'll end up with you'll see a yard that's got a lot of dollar spot in the summertime, and you find out, oh, they run their irrigation about 5 nights a week, you know, at 8 o'clock at night or whatever, and the water sits on there all night. Bad combination. That's really creating an environment for that nut sedge and the fungus to thrive. All right, let's talk about fertilizer. I'm going to show you the fertilizer that I'm putting out. I'm going to put some out today and talk to you about how much to put out on your Bermuda lawn. This is the fertilizer I'm using. You see it in the bag here. Let me see if I can flip the bag over where you can see the numbers on the bag. Give me just a second. It might be upside down here. Here we go. So this is a 3806, if you can see the 8 there. Trust me, it's 3806. So what that is, the difference in the white one versus the yellow one has merit attached to it, which is a grub control product. So if I want to combine the fertilizer with the grub control, I'm using this. If I want to just do the fertilizer, then I'm using this. So you see what it looks like when it's not in the bag, and you see the white pellets and the green pellets. So you can tell there's a lot more green pellets than there are white pellets. White pellets are the quick release fertilizer to give it that initial boost in nitrogen. You're going to see the quick color change. If it gets watered in and the weather's hot, you'll definitely see a green up on the lawn. Now the problem is sometimes people want their yard green in March, and like if the weather's still cool, even in April, even in early May in our area, if the weather's cool, you're not going to get the results. But now we're consistently in the 80s and 90s. It's a great time to fertilize. And then the green pellets, those are your slow release fertilizer. So it's a polymer coated fertilizer. This is the technology here, the name brand they call it is Polyon. But basically the idea is that polymer coating will break down over time. So when you put a lot of fertilizer on a lawn, sometimes you're giving it more nutrients than the grass can actually use at a given time. So this is designed to feed the lawn at a rate that it actually can use the nutrients. So the particular blend I'm using, like I said, is a 3806, and it's supposed to feed the lawn for about 4 months. Now you're going to get that initial green up from the quick release fertilizer, and it's not going to 4 months later, probably not going to be as green as it was, you know, 3 weeks later after the application, but it's still enough nitrogen releasing from these green granules that is still feeding the lawn and help it to maintain a color. Now you want to say, Jason, how do I know how much fertilizer to put on a lawn? Well, in this particular situation, again, it's a 3806, and what I like to do on Bermuda lawns is I'm putting out about 2.2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. So let's just say if I'm looking at this area of the lawn that it's 5,000 square feet, and I want to put out 2.2 pounds for every 1,000 square feet. So if you do the math, that's going to come out to 11 pounds of nitrogen for this. Now that's it, you know, if you were doing 2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet, that's easy math, that'd be 10 pounds. 10 pounds of nitrogen for this area of the lawn. So you got to understand the size of your lawn, and then you want to know how much nitrogen is in the bag of fertilizer. And the easy way that I was taught to do this is you simply take that first number, which is your nitrogen, 38 there, and you divide it by 2. So what's 38 divided by 2? That's 19, because this is a 50-pound bag. So there is 19 pounds of nitrogen in this bag. You know, 38 means that it's 38% nitrogen. See here, total nitrogen, see if I can get on the camera, 38%. See that? So 38% of this bag is 19 pounds. There's 19 pounds in this bag. So we've already said, hey, if we want to put out 2.2 pounds per 1,000 on this lawn, then I need to use 11 pounds total. Well, there's 19 pounds in the bag, so I need to use a little over half the bag on this. Well, at that point, it comes down to just adjusting the dial on your fertilizer spreader until you get it dialed in. Now, maybe you want to start light if you don't know how to get it dialed in. Just turn it to a lower number and try it. You can always go over the line twice if you need to. But you know, or do like a 1,000-foot section and see how much you use. But you know, eventually you'll kind of learn. Like I pretty much know the settings on this, and if I've got mine set on like a 5.7 setting on this spiker hopper dial, and that gets me to the rate that I'm looking for. So anyway, this 50-pound bag covers roughly 9,500 square feet, or maybe 9,000 square feet. If you want your yard super green, you don't mind mowing more often, put more out. You know, if you got quick release fertilizer, it's not going to last 4 months, then you need to put it out more often. But you can put way more than 2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet if you don't mind mowing often, if you want it super green. But like I said, don't just dump it on there all at one time, because you're going to end up wasting a lot of the nutrients. You want to space it out over time. All right, last thing I want to show you some of the weeds that you might be dealing with, and just talk to you about what to spray on your Bermuda lawn during the summer. And this can also work for other types of grasses. You want to check the label, wear your PPE. Let's take a look at some of the weeds you might be dealing with, or at least talk about them if I can't find them. All right, we've already talked about one of the worst ones you're going to deal with in the summer, and that's nut sedge, at least in my area. So your sedge products that I use often are Pro Sedge, and also I use Certainty. And I usually don't just go through there and spray a yard with Pro Sedge or Certainty. I'm just spot treating it, and I'll oftentimes combine it with a broadleaf product. So let me just show you a mix. I'll talk to you about some of the other weeds that you might be dealing with. So, you know, in this little tank, I keep Celsius and Certainty. So why would I combine those two? Well, that combination will get, and it's a combination I recommend a lot, but it will get almost any weed in your warm season turf. And you don't want to use that in your cool season turfs, but it will work on grassy weeds, it'll work on sedges. Now, it may not kill every weed, but it'll control or suppress almost every weed we deal with. So now that's a great combination. And then over here, I keep Change Up mixed with Pro Sedge. So it's another combination in situations where the Pro Sedge is not as good on Kalinga, but it does great on both yellow and purple nut sedge. And then you put Change Up in there, and it's a product I use a lot. So if I've got like Virginia buttonweed or Lespedeza or spurge, or you know, I don't know, other summer weeds you're going to see, oxalis and things like that, you can knock it out with the Change Up. And then what it does by mixing two products together, I don't have to walk over a yard twice. I can just walk over one time, hitting both the broadleafs and the sedges in one application. So some of those weeds I've named, you may have to Google an image if you're not familiar with them. But those are some of the tough weeds that I deal with in the summertime. But nut sedge is probably my biggest complaint for summer lawns, and walk around spraying nut sedge all the time. Certainty and Pro Sedge are a couple of products I recommend for that. Guys, I know it's a lot of information. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, learned something. Hopefully you can have a great looking Bermuda lawn. I plan to show off my yard on YouTube this year and show you the progress, and hopefully have it looking great when we get the grass filled in from all the bare spots But appreciate you watching. You can go to lawncarelife.com if you need resources for the lawn care business, whether mowing or weed control and fertilization. Give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, subscribe if you haven't done so. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.